Welcome to this chapter of the Dispo Growth Summit. And I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about something that's cutting edge. Everywhere you go, you hear about artificial intelligence, AI, and how you can use AI to leverage your marketing to drive more sales and better customer engagement. One of the pioneers in the space in the cannabis industry has been Jeffrey Harris. Jeffrey's the co-founder of springbig. springbig is a platform that helps dispensaries just like yours grow sales in a variety of ways with special expertise in loyalty marketing, messaging, and customer engagement. Jeffrey's company has pioneered the use of artificial intelligence, as I said, and they align cannabis consumers, retailers, and brands. Today, Jeffrey and I are going to dive into how you can use AI to drive sales at your dispensary. Jeffrey, let's start off. What are some of the primary ways dispensaries can use AI?
Yeah, so with the platform that we have and we provide to the retail network, the retail dispensaries that we work with, we're ingesting,
which is over 800, by the way, right?
No, we're installed in about 3,000 locations right now.
Wow. 3,000. Okay, so quite a bit of experience. Yeah.
So we're working with them across all different states, whether it's a medical state or a recreation state. We're working with them all. So we're, a big part of our platform is we ingest the point of sale data that that is happening at the stores, because we need that information to calculate how many points Jeff earned, how many points Brian earned for a particular transaction, whether it be based on 1 point per dollar of purchases, whether it be based on bonuses. So we're getting in all that information. So once we get all that information and we're ingesting it, we're bringing it in, and then we're organizing it. And we're then trying to not only organize it and serve it back from a segmentation standpoint, but we're also leveraging that data so we can continue to learn from that information. So what do I mean by learn? We could learn how often a certain customer comes in. If they're a concentrates buyer, are they coming in once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month? If they're a flower buyer, are they coming in 3 times a week? So we get to understand the different behaviors of different customers, not based on what they tell us, but based on what they do. And then when we take that information and we organize it in such a way where it makes it very easy for the retailer to go to their platform, go into, if they want to create a message to a certain segment of customers, we give them very fine-tuned segments based on all the information that we have and based on AI and learning about what those customers are. So they could do what I think every marketer loves to do: send the right message to the right person at the right time. And we're all about sending the right person the right message at the right time. We're not into, although a lot of our clients do it and we don't really advise, we're not into the same message going to everybody all the time, because that means by definition, you are excluding a large percentage of your customers because you're not hitting the button that they're looking for. We're very interested in making sure that the messages are targeted to the customers based on what we know how customers behave.
Is it fair to say that most dispensaries right now are not segmenting their lists, that aren't giving customized messages based on buyer behavior?
100%. And it's frustrating because, but a big part of it, I mean, again, to be fair, right? Retail staffs are stretched, retail marketing staffs are stretched. So they don't necessarily, it takes a little bit more time, right? So if I'm going to create 5 messages or 6 messages, that takes more time than creating one. So, someone says, oh, I just have so many things to do on my list, I don't have the time. However, if they took a few extra minutes and actually thought about, okay, what do I want to tell this group? What do I want to tell this group? And segment it based on, again, it's their information that we're, number one, organizing and we're learning from to create these segments. So, we're making it easier for them, very easy to do this, but you are correct. But I wish more people, because we preach this all the time, even though we make more money when they send out a big message to everybody, right? Like, we charge based on the messages, but at the end of the day, we would much prefer that they segment and be tighter with their messages, because we think they'll do better.
And do better meaning make more money. Absolutely. Now, can they use AI right now to help them craft these messages by segment?
So to craft the messages, we have not yet put in ChatGPT that will create the message for you. We haven't done that yet.
But they could go to a ChatGPT, couldn't they?
They can go to ChatGPT. They can create the message. what now, because messaging in cannabis is a bit nuanced, because
Right.
it's it falls under one of the categories that cell phone carriers do not want you to explicitly market over their network. You need to be a little I don't want to use the word cagey, but you can't necessarily talk cannabis in the message. You can talk cannabis behind the link that you give them in the message. So they could definitely go to ChatGPT to create messages for particular segments that will sit behind the link that will be very cannabis specific. However, we're not necessarily giving people tons of options on how to be freewheeling with the message that the carrier sees, because the number one objective with a message is make sure it gets delivered. The number two objective with a message is get the customer to open up the link.
Yeah.
If we get them to open that link where that information is specific regarding what the retailer is trying to market, we've won the game. So that's our objective. So at the end of the day, yes, they can go to ChatGPT, they can create their cannabis content or their cannabis specific content, and then yes, they could do that. But we haven't offered that yet, but they can do it. But it's something on our board to do.
When you talk about those level of personalization with messages, are you seeing significantly increased engagement when they're that way as well?
100%. Like one example I could use is we give retailers the ability to send messages in certain time windows during the day, based on when we know customers shop. So as an example, right? If I'm an after work shopper and I'm going to go to the store at 5 o'clock or 5:30 or 6 o'clock, whenever my workday is done, sending me a message at 8 o'clock in the morning, by the time I'm ready to make my purchase, we all know our text feed, how many text messages we get a day. It's gone. I can't even see it anymore. But if I send that person a message at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 3:30 in the afternoon, I know they're going to see it. I know it's going to be there. So we actually see about a 6x return when customers segment messaging just based on when customers shop. So if you're a morning shopper, sure, send it at 8:30, 9 o'clock. Who wants to get a retail message that early? I don't know, but it works if you're a morning shopper. If you're a lunchtime shopper, send it at 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock. If you're evenings, there's usually mid-afternoon is kind of slow. But, if you're an evening shopper, send it at 3 o'clock. Just by doing that, just by breaking up your messages to 3 time slots a day, don't overdo it, right? You don't have to over every half hour, but just 3 times a day, the return will be bumped up about 5 to 6 times.
Wow, that's incredible. Talk a little bit about, is the technology advanced enough to where I can take the data that you're producing on buying behaviors and things along that line and translate that to my menus as well? In other words, can my data interface so that when Brian logs in to place an online order, it can start recommending products and things like that to me based on my history?
So yes, so there are a couple. It's not something that Springbig does. What Springbig does is we integrate with your menu, with your e-commerce site, to make sure that your loyalty experience is available to you online, just like it's available to you in the store.
Got it.
There are a number of companies that are popping up that are kind of like what they call AI bud tender companies.
Right.
So Pluggy is a name of one, Terply is a name of another, that you could basically embed into your e-commerce platform, and they do product recommendations based on prior purchase activity. So they are partners of ours. We integrate with both of them. We work together. So like, for example, one of our joint clients in Las Vegas, Oasis Cannabis, who you very, very avid Springbig user, very avid Pluggy user. It works great. And they're actually seeing a big uptick in online orders because of introducing an AI-driven bud tender online.
Which makes a lot of sense, obviously. Now, you have a lot of experience in loyalty programs. Do you have some tips? I see a lot of loyalty programs that are out there. What are some of the common mistakes you're seeing companies make with their loyalty program?
Yeah, I think sometimes people try to over-engineer a loyalty program. At the end of the day, if you think about loyalty at its core is a quid pro quo. The customer is saying to the retailer, I am willing to share my personal information with you in exchange that I get value for sharing that information. So how do customers get value? They get value by getting relevant offers that are available to them that wouldn't have been available otherwise if they didn't share their information. They get the ability to earn free stuff from that retailer. But the key is don't over-engineer the loyalty program, number one, and number two, keep it simple, right? Customers don't have a lot of time in their head to spend on trying to figure out what your loyalty program does. Make it really simple for them to use. And lastly, in terms of, and where loyalty programs fail, either they're too complicated or it's costing the retailer too much, meaning they've given too much away. So it's very important to make sure that a retailer understands what, from a financial standpoint, how to structure the program where they get the benefit of the customer feeling they're getting something of value, but not giving too much away that it just eats into their margins to the point that they just can't afford it. Because loyalty programs fail when they're too expensive or they're too difficult.
Got it. Got it. Now, let's segue to the data that you're collecting and how it can be used. We've talked about how it can be used for messaging and how it can drive sales. I would imagine that it can be used in other areas as well. One basic one would be staffing. I can see when a lot of my store demand is. Can I use it to help me with inventory decisions as well?
100%. So we have an element we have a component in our platform that not only lets retailers see what brands are selling at what rate, but also based on, this is an AI tool that we have built that's already in the platform, based on what your customers buy, what brands would be great to carry. So,
wow.
So not
like a
only
recommendation engine then.
Yeah, so a recommendation engine on what to carry in your store based on similar customer behavior at other stores and what they buy. So for example, if we see, like, I don't know, take the concentrates category, the flour category,
right?
We see that, there are certain brands that do really, really well in a market, but your store is not carrying them and your customers look kind of similar to these other guys. Basically tell you, hey, if your customers are buying this, they're very likely to buy this. So we actually are giving a recommendation engine to retailers to help them understand what to stock, what not to stock, and they can see the flow through of that stock.
Will AI help me identify customers that might be interested in other products I carry? As a basic example, if I've got a flour user that's constantly buying high THC product, they might be a good concentrate candidate. Will it help me with things like that as well?
It will. The challenge that I think a lot of retailers have right now, and that we have been supporting that at this point in time, and we're working on it, is the cleanliness of the data. So what I mean by that is, even though there are common point of sale systems around the country, and there are common point of sale systems that a lot of retailers use, the actual SKU level data that goes in is managed by that retailer.
Right.
And sometimes it's a bit sloppy. And when sloppy data does not allow you to really drive good results from an AI standpoint. So what we've been working on is we're working on trying to normalize and clean that data up so we can do things like that. Because a lot of people say they can do it, but at the end of the day, they can only do it if the data is clean. And, we receive, our clients run about $8 billion worth of retail sales through our platform a year. So we get a lot of data, and we can tell that it's far from clean right now. So we are a little hesitant to be offering things like that without knowing that the data is clean, because we don't want to provide misinformation to the customer at this point in time.
And am I correct? I believe, obviously, you're only as good as the data that's inputted. In other words, how it's created. I mean, I deal a lot with web analytics, and people will designate a Facebook term one way and somebody will do it another, and that just screws your whole data set up, right? And so it's a basic...
Or like we will see the same product, literally the same product, enter different times in different ways.
Yeah.
So, so for example, there's not a lot of retailers don't have a systematic table on how to enter information. It's not the same person entering the information. So when you take a product, right, and if it's the same exact one, but it's entered different ways, think about how complex that is to kind of knit that together so we know that it's the same product over the next 4 months. So clean data would be hugely helpful. But by the way, it's not just cannabis. You know, you've done a lot of work in retail outside of cannabis, so have I. POS data by nature is not the cleanest. It's kind of messy because you are relying on human behavior for some of that data.
Absolutely. Talk to me a little bit. What are some of the other areas that you're using AI?
So we created a brands marketplace, as I mentioned. So we're using AI to help retailers and brands kind of come together and find the right things, the right products to be selling in stores.
Okay.
We're using it for next visit time. So we're using AI and machine learning to predict if a customer is going to come in today, what time of day they're coming in. We use AI to predict basket size. So we can look based on past experience, what basket size, a customer usually has. So therefore we could be recommending certain promotions to increase certain basket size. So you could recommend it. We're getting close to next visit day. So we continue to work on next visit day, which is, different customers have different cadences on how often they visit a store. So we're working on trying to really organize that information in such a way where you as a retailer can send out a message the day before we expect you to come into the store. That's the next way to do it.
If I'm a dispensary looking at integrating AI and AI tools into my operation, what are some of the things I should be thinking about?
I think obviously the first thing you want to be thinking about is you want to really vet the partner. AI, that term is thrown around.
Yeah, boy. Yep.
All the time, right? So you need to make sure that forget the AI, forget the word AI. You want to say, okay, what does your platform do for me? Tell me exactly what it does. If I do this, it does this. So I think, vetting to make sure, don't get like enamored by the term, get enamored by the function. And I think that's something that's very important for a retailer to make sure that they understand if they're going to buy something or use something, what is it going to do? Forget what they tell you. What is it going to do for me? So that's one.
Okay.
Two, focus on probably the top 2 or 3 things that you believe can impact your sales, help you make more money. So for example, I'm a big believer in the AI bud tender for e-commerce. That is helping retailers make more money because it is definitely increasing the average order value because the customer is being recommended products that based on experience, the machine knows they're going to like, so they're increasing their basket. So that's one. 2, how to use AI to bring your marketing costs down is the second area that I would say is important. All of retailers in cannabis, I don't care if you're the largest or the smallest, everyone is trying to figure out how do I really optimize my budget? How do I be more efficient with my spend? Because a dollar that I don't spend is a dollar that I make. Nope. So that's really important. So those probably would be the 2 main things that I would recommend.
Now, when I select a platform, let's see, I select springbig and I'm going to implement this into my dispensary. Tell me some implementation steps. How do we do that?
So from our standpoint, we make it really easy. If a retailer wants to use springbig, we have a dedicated onboarding team that works with that retailer for the first 3 months of their engagement with us. So we don't just train them, we stay with them for the first 3 months. We get them to know everything they need to know. The second thing we have, a real great tool that we have is we have Springbig University, which is an online evolving learning tool for the retailer where they can go to Springbig University if there's a particular topic that they want to brush themselves up on or learn more. They could search for that topic, and we have video classes and written classes that will, brush them up on that. And then lastly, it's make sure that they understand what they're trying to accomplish. Like whenever you buy software, what am I doing with the software? So we think it's very important, and our sales team will do this with them, with the retailer. Just let's get aligned on what you want, what you're trying to accomplish, so we can make sure that we then serve up the platform in a way that's going to help you accomplish your goals.
Okay, perfect. So I want to use AI. Several big opportunities that I can do it with is I can use it for a variety of ways to drive sales, that type of thing. I'm running a dispensary. Do I have a dashboard that this information comes to me? Simple.
Absolutely.
Talk to me just a little bit. Let's give them a little bit of an overview of how they're going to be able to use this data and not have to spend hours to do it.
So what's nice about it is, like, basically there are three main areas within our platform that a retailer usually is going to spend the most time in. So one area is the campaign area, right? Creating and sending out campaigns. And we've made it super easy for them.
Now you mean email and text messaging both, right?
And push notifications.
Okay, and push notifications.
We have over 100 apps in the App Store as well. So right. So they creating a campaign and making it easy for them to create a campaign is probably the most used piece of our platform. The next piece of our platform is we have an automated trigger element to our platform where you can create automated messaging based on real behavior, and going in and setting up those automated triggers. We actually have some clients, they only use the automated triggers and they don't even send out the campaigns. Because
if I could, I want to interject real quickly. Based on my experience, automated triggers can be absolutely invaluable to a dispensary.
For sure.
It's fabulous your platform has that. Those are great. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I really
and we actually love when they use that, because automated triggers are literally one-to-one messaging. Meaning we get the inbound behavior. And the message fires out based on that behavior or lack thereof, right? So therefore setting up that. And then the third area is the data of all the reports that we have. So we have basically two levels of data access. One level of data access that we have is, I'll call it for the non-sophisticated user, where there's a series of dashboards and reports within the platform that they could use. But then we have some very sophisticated users that want to dig deeper and get much more analytical. And there, what we do is we basically we have a Tableau dashboard that we've created, a real business intelligence dashboard that is linked into the platform. So you could go simple or you can go deep. We give them both options.
Outstanding. How does the platform adapt to multi-unit locations? Is it scalable and easy?
Yeah, 100%. So, we basically, you can put as many locations into the platform as you want. And some retailers, if you're working within one state, they usually only have one platform and all their locations are within a platform. If they're multi-state, they make a decision if they want to put locations from different states in one platform, or they want to have one platform per state, depending on how they're structured from a marketing standpoint. Easy to do.
When they start to work with your platform, from the time they get ready to get going until they're fully deployed, about how long does that take?
With an integration, with training, it could, if they're really in a hurry, 2 weeks. If they're not in a hurry, 4 weeks.
Okay, outstanding. What's the best way for people to stay in touch with you guys?
By the way, if they come to springbig.com, they could sign up for our newsletters and they could sign up for information. If there's any information that they need, they could reach out to info@springbig.com, and we'd be more than happy to interact and engage with people to help however we can.
I want to add as well, you have a robust blog with lots of great retail tips on that blog as well, that I really want to encourage anybody that watches this to engage themselves in. There's a lot of neat tips that Jeffrey shared with you that you can use in your dispensary. His segments of emailing based on time and a 5 to 6 time lift in sales is absolutely phenomenal. To have data so that when people walk into your store, your bud tenders can have a list of product that they may recommend that they want to buy. All of these are fabulous tools to help you drive sales. You can find his company online, just like it sounds, at springbig.com. We're going to put down in the comment section here how you can reach them as well. So please feel free to reach out to them. Going to be at MJ BizCon as well.
We will have some representatives. We're not exhibiting this year, but we will have representatives. And by the way, anyone who wants to get in touch with me directly, Jeffrey@springbig.com. Feel free to email me. I'll make sure that either I answer it, I direct it to the right person to get answered.
Outstanding. Outstanding. We appreciate you sharing our expertise with us today. Again, I encourage you, feel free to reach out to Jeffrey and his company at springbig.com. There's a lot of things they can do to help drive sales in your dispensary. Again, we have 7 other segments and 7 other presenters here on the Dispo Growth Summit. I encourage you, learn from them, apply what you learn from them, watch your sales go through the roof. Jeffrey, thanks for your time. I'll look forward to our paths crossing again real soon.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you.